This is the new ZeroTech H.A.L.O reflex sight. That's an aspherical red dot. Let's shoot it. Hey everybody, welcome back to Gun Totin' Minnesotan. Today, I'm going to be discussing the H.A.L.O reflex enclosed red dot from ZeroTech Optics. This is sitting right now on a SIG 322. It's a rimfire. It is empty and safe, just so that you can see there's nothing in there. I have it set up for pistol carry right at the moment, but this optic can be put on a rifle or a carbine, something like that. It comes with a Picatinny claw for a standard attachment. I'm a really big fan of this product, and I want to sit down and do a little bit of a table talk with some B-roll running in the background. Now let me just say something about ZeroTech red dots. I have a ZeroTech red dot on all of my carry guns. Let me think about this. Yes, all my carry guns have a ZeroTech red dot. Most of them are open red dots. They're not enclosed like this. And in fact, on my EDC, the one that I carry the most, that is a Smith & Wesson Shield. And I've been shooting it really, really well. And one of the things that was amazing about it is I do have kind of a micro-sized red dot from ZeroTech on that one. Go watch that video if you're curious about that. But this, I would consider in a lot of ways an upgrade from that one. The H.A.L.O has a lot going for it. It's very, very unique. And there's a few things about it that set it apart from the other enclosed red dots. That's actually really what I want to talk about. But I will tell you, I trust my life to these. These are not cheap, chintzy, or low quality red dots. These are high quality red dots that you can rely on with excellent battery life and features, durability, that sort of thing. So let me tell you why I like this and why it's on a 22. First of all, it's on a 22 because this pistol I can put an insane number of rounds on compared to 9mm in the same session, and I can afford it. So there's just the truth. It is getting expensive to do YouTube more and more, and at this point, I kind of have to play that game a little bit. I can't always put it on a 9mm, even though I'm almost 100% sure I'm either going to get another one of these and put it on a 9mm, or I'll trade this one over if I have to, because this is no joke. This is a high quality dot. I shoot this so well, so well in my own opinion of my own shooting compared to iron sights. It's fast, it's reliable, it's just, I don't know how else to break it up any more than I already have so far, really. It's just exactly what it should be. And I'm gonna say that on the rimfire, it hasn't caused this to be unreliable, so I like that. It hasn't been so much weight that the slide is getting hung up all the time. No issues of that sort. And I shoot this pistol suppressed most of the time. I'm shooting suppressed, and one thing about that, if you shoot with suppressor, is it shoots a lot of gas back on that lens typically. This lens is very easy to clean, and because it's actually sort of guarded up here, it's kind of a cool thing. When I actually cock the slide using the red dot, my fingerprints aren't on the lens because it's not like the other enclosed dots. Because it's aspherical, my hand isn't touching the lens when I do that. Also, if you're going to rack it off of a belt, okay, which is going to do the same thing and be like that, it's not going to scratch up the lenses. Now these have like a scratch resistant coating. They have a reflective resistant coating. That's pretty standard in your red dots nowadays. But it's one more thing that's cool about it is the gases, when they blow back, it seems like they don't tend to collect on this lens hardly as much as with other red dots. So there's a small advantage, but I'll take them. Every advantage I can get. Very cool. The housing feels a little bit more robust, to be honest with you, than like almost all the other red dots I've tried, including ZeroTech red dots. This feels like the most robust. Part of that is the battery compartment is a top loading feature. It's right on top, which is an excellent idea. I don't want to have to take the mount off. I don't have to take the red dot off and bottom feed a battery. You know, I want to be able to access it from the top, leave it zeroed. And so you have all your controls easily accessible. You have increase for brightness. You have decrease on this side. You have your install screws here in the back, installed very easy. Put a little blue Loctite on it, hasn't come loose, and we're, let's see, so we're 3,000 rounds plus. That's quite a bit quite a bit of testing. Even though it's a 22, it's quite a bit of going back and forth. And one more thing I should mention that's huge about this for me is the fact that it does have like a rear sight notch there. That rear sight notch that I cannot line up. Where am I going? There we are. The rear sight notch is very, very convenient. I want to have something there just in case the battery goes down, in case of some sort of catastrophic failure that I can't see coming. I like having that to line up with the green fiber optic up front. And then, of course, the zeroing up, down, left, right are accessible outside the dot here. No need for an extra housing to put on top of or some sort of weather guard that I've seen with other red dots. This one is enclosed. It's ready to go straight out of the package, basically. I took off the claw feet for the Picatinny and installed it here, and I haven't taken it off since. Like I said, I really need to try this out on some other rifles and stuff because it's a very generous size window. If I can just go back here again, let you guys see that dot. There it is. Right there. So it's a generous size window. I like the color and the tinting. It's actually picked up pretty well for me. And brightness has not been an issue any day. Actually, I knocked down the brightness a little bit. Almost every time I've gone out, even very sunny days, like today's fairly sunny, I knocked down the brightness a little bit. It's very bright. So if you're in the desert, I actually think this one's desert proof. I think it's snow blind proof. It's going to be enough contrast to get the job done, and more so. Actually, it also can go very, very dull and very dim. So if that's your thing and you need night vision capability, it's going to meet you there. In the evening time when it is fairly dark and I'm shooting steel right up to the last minutes of light, it's nice to be able to take it down. There's quite a few settings in here that I like. The fact that it's always on. I grab the pistol, I present it, dot's always on. It never has cut out. I've never had issues with the actual dot flickering on me or having some sort of disconnection point. I think it's made very, very well, and the wire connection to the battery, it's not shaking in there. There's enough spring tension to keep everything connected and tight. Another thing, I feel like some enclosed red dots, they look cool, but the housing in the body is so big, it's just a little too chonky on top of a pistol. And this one still feels very much so like a standard reflex sight that doesn't have as much mass, and it doesn't have as much width to it or thickness. This is just a good size overall. It retains a smaller footprint, and the smaller I can get, the better generally, as long as it has a big enough window. And like I said, this is a very big oval to be looking through, so that's not an issue for me. But it's just not all the way back, and I appreciate having that feature. Some of them go so far back and they're so big. I've just kind of looked at other brands and tried to figure out what it would be like to put that on a pistol, and it just seems like it would print through my shirt, to be honest with you. This, I don't think so. I'm a big guy anyways, but I don't think that this will be a printing issue. We'll see when I switch over to carry pistols with this particular dot. But looking at the body of this, it's really not that much bigger than some of the other ZeroTechs that I've reviewed that don't really have the housing. They have a similar shield up front or a glass window up front, but they don't have the rear of the housing, the top of the housing, and I can conceal those pretty well. There's really not that much for me to say, but I do have a few important things. Okay, so I want to check off on my list here a few things that I've noticed in the last 10 red dot reviews I've done from various companies, and what I noticed about this one versus those others. With cheap red dots, you know what? The glass isn't very good. It's amazing that you can tell, but you can. There's distortion in the glass on cheap red dots, cheap reflex sights. And I can tell in those on the target, it degrades the image a little bit. It's not a nice piece of glass, or sometimes like the glue that's retaining it in there is globby and not evenly securing the glass window. This doesn't have that issue. It's even, it looks very uniform all the way through. I'm gonna do this here. It's very uniform all the way through. You almost can't see any seam. So it just feels very robust and it looks good at the same time. I don't have distractions when looking through the window. I've looked at some cheap enclosed red dots lately, and when I look through on the cheap ones, I can see some distortion. Sometimes the lights flicker, the battery tension isn't good with the springs, or there's just a loose wire in their designs in some cheaper companies. Or the window is awkward or shaped just not smart, like the actual design of the window is not smart. And especially one thing, they don't use proper coatings. That can be really frustrating. This doesn't have any of those issues. I like what I see when I look through the window, whether I'm shooting into the sun or I have the sun at my back, or the sun has been coming a lot of times from the left to the right as the sun is setting. I'm noticing that this works really well for me, and I'm not getting glared out. I'm not getting, just this big solar flare in here. I've shot in the rain more than I would like, actually. Quite a few times I've shot in the rain with this. And the rain beads, they typically haven't been getting on the front window. Even in the harder rain, it either rolled right off, or maybe the recoil was kind of helping shake it off. That's one thing that's possible. But on the rear, in the rain, I wasn't getting any pooling coming up here. The rain was shedding right off, and it's a fairly flush back on this red dot, but that wasn't an issue for me at all. I had no water getting inside the red dot through these pieces. The battery compartment is tightly sealed, so I had no water getting in there. It hasn't come loose on me. The fitment is executed perfectly on the particular pistol I'm running on right here. Absolutely perfect. Comes with the extra accessories that I needed, different set depths for Allens, depending on what kind of gun I run it on. So with the cheaper ones, you might get a couple accessories. They might give you a little rubber cover or something. This one comes with all the accessories that you're going to need as well. But I think in the cheaper red dots, they're trying to distract you almost from the lack of performance for the red dot by throwing in lots of extras and giving it, some sort of hokey name. This actually makes sense, and the things they include are serious. A serious shooter is going to want them. A lot of the cheaper red dots as well are not made from 7075 aluminum. They're like an inferior aluminum a lot of times. And I just don't trust them. Like I said, the housing on this is really strong. It's shock-proof, it's waterproof, it's fog-proof, it's absolutely durable. And then with visibility on some of the cheaper ones, I've reviewed some that are supposed to be like a 3MO8 red dot. This is a 3MO8 red dot. And I've reviewed some cheap red dots from other companies where even though I said 3MO8, I would look at it and it was really plumy, or it wasn't a sharp projection of the dot, something like that was going on. Or the brightness, this is bad. With the cheap red dots, guys, they're not just as good, they're not just as tough, and they're not just as bright. Nor do they do as well with battery life, I found out, with the cheaper ones. This one, I believe, will do really well with battery life. I haven't tested it long enough to be 100% honest about that yet. We'll just see what happens, but so far so good. The 3MO red dot is true. It's sharp and it's very, very bright. And then, like I said before, as most of us are getting into night vision a little bit, this one's compatible with night vision, which is cool. It features that aspherical lens, and so there's an expanded field of view, which is cool, and it does have the multi-coated coatings. It has the multi-coated coatings, so you have a clearer image versus some of those cheaper ones that just skip some of the necessary coatings and they have reflective issues or sun issues depending on the angle that you're shooting. That's frustrating with the cheaper ones. This is closer to like a $400 MSRP, and it is worth the increase, especially on serious pistols. I'm going to tell you that, if you have an airsoft gun or something like that, yeah, maybe this isn't for you, but serious pistols, competition pistols, carry pistols, it's worth the increase. Please don't go buy a cheap red dot, like a really cheap one, and put it on something that is that important. Plus this has the backup irons, little nubs there, but it's something there just in case a worst case scenario occurs, and that's a big deal to me. I prefer that. I've looked to see the auto sleep and auto turn on or shake awake features, and I've never caught it where I picked it up and it wasn't on. 100% of the time, every single time, and I handle this thing pretty often, it is always turned on when I've brought it up. And I mean, like, if the pistol is laying down and I do this, it's on. I'm not sure how that works when you're carrying it on your side, if that means it's just always on. Every time I look down when it's on my side, it appears to be on. That doesn't bother me because the battery life on this is so long. So I don't mind just switching out the top loading battery from time to time. But when I leave it in a safe or I set it down for a long period of time and I look in there and I grab it, as soon as I grab it, that thing's on. It's very responsive, very quick. So I'm not concerned about that. Again, on a carry pistol setting or a competition setting, I don't think it's going to have an error. The software or the engineering has been done well so that it does exactly what it's supposed to do. Again, with those adjustments, it offers, I think it's 1.5 MOA per click, and I can actually feel them when I'm zeroing this, because I actually put it in a rest, not a ransom rest, but I clamp it in a rest and I look at it, and I want to be as true as possible. It's 1.5 MOA per click, and you can actually feel the clicks, which is cool. Like I could almost kind of hear it a little bit. When I was quiet, I could hear it. And so I know that the actual adjustments, the clicks, are doing what they're supposed to, and it just saves me time when I'm zeroing it. It's not frustrating. Some of those cheap ones, this is one more dig on a cheap red dot. Some of the cheap red dots, you make an adjustment and you're trying to make a horizontal adjustment and it makes a vertical adjustment, or vice versa, or a little bit of both, and it kind of like tracks sideways. I was just messing with one the other day that the tracking, I couldn't even tell what the heck it was doing because it was like kind of going up and over like this. So the adjustments on this other cheap branded one, just frustrating. And eventually when I got there, it held zero and it was okay. But this, you're not going to deal with that. It's going to hold zero, of course, and it's going to track true. So you can get pretty precise. You can get your group to be exactly where you need it to be, which for competition shooters and self-defense guys, we should be looking at our guns that way. When you first get the Trace aspherical red dot, this is the box that's going to come in here. Some of the pertinent information, which you already know. If I haven't mentioned it yet, it's an RMSc and H.A.L.O compatible device. I'm going to go ahead and open up the package so you can see what comes inside. Inside, you're going to get a reminder of the warranty. Don't forget about this lifetime warranty. Any owner, any problem, always covered. You can check them out at ZeroTechOptics.com if you're here in the States. And I do have inside a QR code, which is useful if you want to scan that and get to your manual. They're saving paper, saving you money. That way you can get your manual. And then also a reminder of your warranty here. Inside the box, you're going to get a base plate that is Picatinny compatible. It's got the pillars there and a pillar on the bottom for Picatinny. If you're going to throw this on a rifle of some sort, I actually do plan to use this on a rifle very soon. I like putting red dots on rifles at times. You have a cover for your red dot if you so choose to run this on a rifle. This is probably a decent idea. It's a really good fit too. It actually stays on there. I'm used to covers like this kind of flopping off relatively easy or just poor fitment. This one stays on nicely and removes nicely. So well done with the cover. It's good protective cover, by the way. Then you're going to have a shim? Yep, you're going to have a shim as well as a tool for taking out your battery inside this bag. Those are useful features to keep with your package if you so choose. And extra hardware for set depths, that's always useful. And a lens cleaning cloth. ZeroTech always provides an extra high quality lens cleaning cloth. These you could actually use on your lenses without damaging them. I find these to be some of the better ones that are included with any optic package. And then you're going to have two pieces or two tools here. You've got an Allen with a sight adjustment tool on the back. So if you want to install and then use this slotted or standard screwdriver on the end, that's what you're going to need to adjust for windage and elevation. So that's nice to see that it comes with that. And then you have your Torx, again, installation-based tools and zero setting. So pretty much everything you need to get started and get you shooting. Again, this is the ZeroTech H.A.L.O enclosed aspherical red dot. Battery life is going to be up to 50,000 hours. It's a 3 MOA dot. It has shake awake and all the features you need. It's going to come with everything you need for either rifle or an RMSc pattern pistol mount. So I get behind it. I recommend it. I'll talk more about it in the future. You'll probably see it on another pistol, or I'll just buy another one of these red dots. You'll probably see it on a rifle. Maybe this very one will go on a rifle next. It's really hard for me to hold back from trying all the applications. but I get behind it. I recommend it. This is, to date, the best enclosed red dot that I have used.